What's going on, Muscle Monsters? Alain Gonzalez here, and today I'm doing a Facebook Q&A. So these questions come directly from my Facebook fan page, and I answer them here in one of these videos. If you want to get your questions answered, go over to facebook.com/Muscle Monsters, and then I'll post a status stating that it's question time. Leave your question, and I'll try to answer it in one of these videos. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in. The first question comes from, and I'm sorry to anybody whose name I mispronounce, so I'm going to try my best. Abhishek Ghosh, all right? What is best exercise for shoulders, lateral raise movement or pressing movement? All right, you're going to need a little bit of both, all right? You got to remember, when it comes to the overall shoulder development and shoulder health, you have to train the anterior delt, the middle delt, and the rear delt. All right, so for the anterior delt, you're getting enough stimulus there from any pressing or pushing, right? So overhead presses, bench pressing from every angle, and things of that nature. So any isolation work there is probably not necessary. Now for the mid delt, I would highly recommend some variations of lateral raises, so whether it's with the machine or with dumbbells or cables or a mix of all of them. And then for the rear delt, anytime you're retracting the scapula, you are going to target the rear delts a bit. So some good exercises for that would be things like face pulls, or just some direct isolation work for the rear delts is also, in my opinion, necessary for overall shoulder development and health. All right. Michael Baker, what exercises do you do for your abs? I personally don't do many, mainly because I don't really enjoy it, but I highly recommend that you do. All right, so don't do as I do, do as I say, or however that saying goes. All right, so some of the exercises I do recommend for the rectus abdominis, or the six-pack, is any exercise where you're extending and flexing the spine completely. All right, so maybe cable crunches, because you can add resistance. You can do hanging leg raises, so you can add resistance by putting a dumbbell in between your feet, or decline crunches with a plate either in front of you or behind your head. And again, so you can add resistance, because just like any other muscle, the abs will need resistance and slowly progressing over time in order to induce hypertrophy. Felipe Kurtz wants me to talk about supplements for beginners. I actually just recently wrote an article about my thoughts on what supplements are the most beneficial, and I'm going to link that in the description so you can go there and kind of see what supplements I recommend and why. But just remember that these supplements are absolutely, positively not necessary in order to achieve great results. So yeah, check that out. And the next question comes from Emmanuel Bonnet. Hi bro, number one, what's the best way to get big mountain traps like WWE guys? Well, if you want to get huge traps, you have to train them, obviously. So things like deadlifts, farmer's walks, shrugs, or any type of scapula retraction is going to involve the traps. Now, when you look at guys in the WWE who just have huge traps, a lot of the time this could be genetics or drugs or both. All right, so you can't compare yourself to them in terms of their trap development, but if you want to maximize your trap development, then again, deadlifts, shrugs, farmer's walks, and anytime you retract the scapula. All right. And his second question is, do you specifically work your forearms? If so, what are some exercises? Thanks. I personally do not isolate the forearms, but what I do for forearms is focus on grip whenever I'm pulling. So if I'm doing any back movements, I really focus on tightening the grip and really squeezing my hand over the bar. And then I do other things like hammer curls or reverse curls, which will help build the upper forearm as well. Next question, Iqbal Rahani. And this question kind of hits home for me. My arms look scrawny from the front and the back, but good from the sides. What can I really do to make them look big from the front and back? All right, guys, if you haven't noticed, if you look at me from the front, my arm looks skinny, like I don't even work out. From the side, it looks decent. Sometimes I might look like I actually lift weights. All right, this has a lot to do with genetics because of the insertions and the muscle bellies, but we have to do with what we got, right? So what you want to do is really focus on maximizing the size that you put onto your arms, right? So a few things you want to do. Number one is you want to train your biceps with supination, with a neutral grip, and with a reverse grip. And then you also want to train from different planes. So for example, with your elbows in front of your body with like preacher curls or something like that. And then from behind your body, like incline bench curls as well, because you got to remember the biceps are two heads. For simple terms, I'll put the inner and the outer. So you have to develop both. And even though they work together, in my opinion, you can emphasize one over the other slightly, just like you can with the triceps. And then also we have the brachialis, which also adds to that arm thickness. So those are some things you can do. And if you're looking for a program for your arms, I have Total Arm Assault, totally free. I'll put the link in the description to that. You can download it and get started right away. All right.